How you been? Been good?
Well, dude, since I saw you last, I have a leg now.
I know.
So that's real cool, fucking
Look
hanging
at
out with
that.
that guy.
Man, COVID-19 has been a real motherfucker. Get everything up. Everything.
It's mental warfare because we're not for sure when it's over. We're not for sure when it's at the peak. We have to get all the data. It's just mind numbing, and I find it best to almost disassociate.
I saw a lot of people that I look up to on the social media saying, yo, if you're not using this COVID time to make your life better, you're fucking up. And I'm over here like, I don't want to up.
Obviously there's the financial things that people are losing out on. With the coronavirus and everything getting shut down, you're not just losing out on material things, you're losing, human contact. And I think that's a real important part of our species.
Initially, COVID cost me a lot of money. It's still costing me a lot of money.
I'm really scared how we're gonna go forward from all of this because I keep seeing my friends going bankrupt that own studios.
For us tattooers as well, it's kind of shown the light. A lot of artists don't have other income, based businesses. A lot of them just get the money. They don't really put it into correct form. So then they're stuck with no proof of income, so they couldn't get a lot of loans. I started seeing that a lot. So, it's very important to educate yourself in getting on the right accountant, doing stuff legally, and I've been doing that for a couple of years. So thank God I was able to get some help and my business so we could stay up afloat. I know a lot of shops lost their shops because of that.
It was, and it still is, painful, but unfortunately, probably without the lockdown, it would have been 10 times worse.
The president, because I feel like this happened because they made it happen. I don't think that this happened because it just naturally happened.
I'm in New York City, so my opinions on COVID and how people should be handling it are vastly different from a lot of those that are in areas that were not as affected. So I've seen firsthand what this virus has done to people and to my community. I live right next to a hospital, and in April there was just sirens going off every 5 minutes. I've seen the trucks full of the bodies. I've seen the camps outside of hospitals. I've seen it.
At this point, I think it's a goddamn shame. I think our leadership is on the government level, on the state level here in California, and I think we need to get the together, get organized, and make a difference, because the time is now, and the world is gonna keep on changing. The world is gonna keep on evolving, and if we don't evolve with it, we're gonna get left with no voice and back to being underground and completely regulated.
The more people keep ignoring how serious this is, none of us are gonna get what we're dying to get back to. At the end of the day, our opinions aren't going to change the fact that this has been a devastating disease that I think we should avoid at all costs.
It was interesting because I got a different perspective than a lot of people. Because initially I came into it and I'm like, y'all bitches crying about a lockdown for a couple weeks. I've been locked down for a year, G, what the f are you talking about, So as COVID started, yeah, sure, this whole oh my God, this looming end is near. But I had a looming end near a year prior. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what life without a limb was gonna be like. I didn't know if I was gonna lose my leg for quite a long time. We battled to keep it for 8 months. So having gone through all that makes it well, if I made it through losing my leg and now I can walk again, well, COVID ain't the end of the world. It was interesting kind of feeling like a veteran and kind of patting the people on the head oh, you guys will make it, don't worry. Because I've been stressing about money and work. I've been out of work and, being able to work and then out of work and then being able to work and then out of work.
I want money. I like money. I opened up my shop in February. It was open for 6 weeks and I closed it. I put my whole life and my life savings into it. I put my everything into it. And I had an opening party, and it was this big celebration that something we worked so hard for is finally done. I can celebrate the dream I've had in my career, and then out of nowhere, record stopped.
Man, living in the hospital, worrying about losing a limb, going through all that pain, all that shit. like that just set me up. Like that was all practice, and COVID was the big game, and the practice took a lot longer than the big game did. So, you know, it's a different perspective, and I'm very happy for my perspective on it.
I've actually been pretty proud seeing New York City just kick this virus's ass. And I see everybody wearing the masks. I see our daily rates going down because, you know, New York City has a sense of community and a sense of badassery that we can handle anything. That just means I get to go back to my dream. I get to go back to my shop.
I love tattooing, but it's not a super priority, certainly not in a global health epidemic. So it's like, it's on the table. I'm just kind of waiting to get back to it. And in the meantime, I've been having fun with illustration and animation and 3D and just trying to keep myself busy.
For me, I think that it was like really good to kind of just slow everyone down and kind of look inward and reflect about who you are and what you are. Like, I'm not even closed off to the fact that when I get back to tattooing, my style is going to change and evolve, you know, tenfold, just because I've had finally a moment to sit and let that kind of soak, you know?
It was the first time in my career that like life wasn't just so busy, and I was able to actually sit down and take a break without feeling guilty for it.
Yes, it can be sad, but if you can put yourself in a way that you can benefit from it as an artist, I think it could be very beneficial for many artists out there. Or not even just consider your future, but just like work on your artistry without like pressure, without that time pressure, without that money pressure.
I think, and I'm coming from a place of privilege here, because I didn't necessarily have a bad time during quarantine. Luckily, I had enough saved so I didn't suffer. I know that wasn't the case with everyone, and I didn't have necessarily as much responsibilities as other people have. So I actually quite enjoyed the lockdown because it gave me a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to stop tattooing and heal my hands and my body, which is a major issue for most tattooers. It was like a get-out-of-jail-free card for, sorry, I gotta cancel your appointment.
My puppy loves me more because we spend more time together now. You know, I had time to do some acid, and that was eye-opening and interesting.
I think we won't see the outcome for a long time, but I think that having the opportunity to reevaluate how we do our jobs and reevaluate what's important to us and how we spend our time will be the only truly positive thing for each of us reflectively. I think it's going to change the way a lot of us go back to work for the rest of our lives, hopefully. I just don't think it's going to have the same vigor as before, because I think people are going to realize what they really need and what they don't.
I think tattoo shops, man, are probably some of the safest places. We treat everybody as if they potentially have something that's going to kill me, you know? So I don't treat anybody any different. I mean, the only difference now would be just, you know, wearing a mask and, you know, not bringing a few people with you to sit and watch you get tattooed or talk.
A lot of the same regulations are in place. You know what I mean? Like, obviously we wear gloves. We wash our hands several times with hands-free sinks. You know, it's required to have hands-free sinks in the stations pre-COVID.
We ourselves should be held up to, I think, the standards that doctors are held up to, because we're dealing with open skin, infections, blood, viruses, and other conditions that could hinder our collectors or hinder our own lives. So I think it's important for us to be educated. And I think this gives or sheds light on that. And if anything, will tighten up and reform us into the fact that we will become a more regulated industry as far as keeping people safe. And keeping people safe is extremely important.
We've been trained for bloodborne pathogens and cross-contamination for years. I've had training for so long that I really think that the only thing that has changed is that I'm wearing a mask now. And honestly, I don't mind it because I can make faces and nobody can tell.
I feel like the world is like purging itself. I feel like it's a bright light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm honestly excited for the world to just be open back up.
My takeaway from it is, man, I was going to be miserable with or without COVID if I made that choice. So I just made the choice to not be miserable.
I think that COVID is affected us in a way that we're never going to be the same after this. It's definitely going to change the tattoo world forever.
Oh, what the? Sorry, someone is screaming out my window about the Chinese government's gonna kill us.
Holy
Yeah, that's weird.